I find that story to be pretty interesting.
It was John Paul Jones.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
here's how that worked. I was asked to interview Them Crooked Vultures with Dave Grohl, John Paul Jones, and Josh Homme. So I went down to Burbank, and the interview was supposed to take place at Josh's studio, which is called Pink Duck. So I roll right off the plane, right to the studio, which is in this really nondescript residential area that you could actually walk to from the airport. And you would never know what was going on inside. It's just a bunch of wartime bungalows. So I walk around into the back of the house, it's kind of a house, through the alley, and all three people having something to drink. And Josh bounds out. He says, "Oh, you must be here for the interview." I go, "Yeah." He says, "Okay, come on into the studio, and I'll get you all set up." So we go into the control room, and I start, sitting at my recording gear. And John Paul Jones wanders in, and there's a bass sitting on a stand, picks it up, plays something, vaguely Zeppelinish from it, puts it down, then looks at me and goes, "Oh, where are my manners? You've had a long journey." Says, "Yeah, John, I've been, traveling for about 8 hours." He goes, "Can I get you a cup of tea?" Says, "Yeah, a cup of tea would be really nice. Milk or lemon?" "Milk." "Okay, I'll be right back." And I go back to what I'm doing. And then I realized that, did I just send the bass player of Led Zeppelin out to get me a cup of tea? And it comes back. He comes back, and it's in a china cup and saucer. And he says, "Could you take a sip to make sure I got the milk right?" Says, "Yeah, it's great, John." "Okay, I'll get the lads. I'll be right back." So he goes, gets the other two guys. So I'm sitting there with a cup of tea that John Paul Jones made me. There's Josh Homme, John, and Dave Grohl, like 250 million records staring at me. And I have them all to myself, and they all just, "Okay, you have any questions for us? Go."
When you're in the middle of that, does the magnitude of what it is that you're doing each time you do these ridiculous interviews,
every once in a while, I find myself in a situation where I think, how did a guy from a small town, the Canadian prairies, end up in this particular situation?
Yep.
And, there's a lot of bullshit that happens when you're in my line of work, and all our lines of work, that make it very difficult sometimes. But there are those occasions where you look around and go, "Man, I love my job." And those are the things that keep me going.
Yeah, Lowell, when was the last time you were on stage and you kind of had that moment where you were kind of staring out at the crowd and realized, holy shit, I'm a fucking drummer for a Juno Award-winning band that's open for Pearl Jam, played all over the world? And do you have those moments every show, or does it take something real special for it to kick in?
I'm definitely always grateful to be out still doing it and be healthy and that, we played some great festivals last year. That was awesome. And I definitely pinch myself sometimes that that we've been able to keep going for so long. So it's funny being back here around my hometown, and because I haven't been back here for this long and quite some time. It's been over a decade. But coming from here, in my basement, in my parents' basement, I was at 13, 14, I was getting bands from the neighbor, from in town down to my parents' basement. I was trying to make them record them and make it sound as good as I could. And it's so funny. Flash forward, whatever the 25 years or whatever it is. And I'm doing exactly the same thing. It's kind of.
My parents are still convinced that I'm going to move back into my basement bedroom any second now. I've been doing this for 39 years, and can't last. When are you going to get a real job? Couldn't you be a teacher?
Do your parents still listen to all the podcasts and all the shows?
Oh no, they have no idea what I'm talking about. They just it's all noise. Who's listening to you? Why are anybody paying attention to you? Okay, I'll give you another quick story. I was sent to England to talk to Robert Smith of The Cure, and I finished up the interview, and I had a couple of hours free, so I'm in a coffee shop on Charing Cross Road Saturday night. I thought, okay, I'll call Mom, so I call her. Mom, how you doing? Where are you? I'm in England. What are you doing there? Well, I was sent here by a record company to interview a band. And there's this long pause, and then she says, well, why you?
Aw.
I know, it's fun.
That's amazing. Lowell, do you have like a one of those stories from the road where everything went wrong? Like, do you guys have a winter sleep death story of like just where this show was terrible or this instance was terrible or everybody robbed our gear? Did you guys ever run into one of those?
Oh yeah, there's been lots of time. Like I mean, the first time we went to Europe, we booked it ourselves. Like we booked it around Paul, who's in Winter Sleep. He had family in Italy. Like his brother was engaged there at the time, and they somehow like booked a few shows in these like rural areas in Italy, and then on the back of that, we booked like we were able to book like some German shows, and we go over and we get there. We hire this Sprinter van, and we didn't hire a driver with it, and then of course we didn't check if any of us could drive a standard Sprinter van, and so we hop in and we're like, oh well, we can't use this. So there's 5 of us in the group at the time, and we're just like, we can't. And the driver, the person we're hiring off of, doesn't have an automatic van, so we're scrambling because we have to get down to do these shows in like around Rome. There was like three or 4 shows that we had booked there, and like we all had to we hired a Volkswagen Jetta, I think. we had to leave all of our gear because we're like, okay, we'll when we come back to Germany, we'll hop in the van, and if you're available, you can come with us, and we'll pay you a wage, and you can drive us for the few shows that we had in Germany. So we're booting it down to Civitavecchia outside of Rome, their kind of vacation area, and that was the start of that. And like all the gear that was provided there was like just like I was basically playing like one of those like children's drum kits, and like just and like our bass player had like this Warlock bass, and like it was just like like Ibanez Explorers with the actions like an inch off the neck and stuff like that. And then we get back to Germany, and we're like, oh, we're so pumped. We get to Berlin, and we're playing this no, it's Hamburg. We're playing a club, I think it was Lido or something, and we load in. We're all stoked. It's like a proper bar or what, like venue. It's like like any like a lot of European venues of like 300-400 capacity, yeah, we get there, and like they had all the meats laid out for us. They had sandwiches, classic German show hospitality. So we're all snacking, like sound check goes really well, and then nobody came.
What, to the show?
Yeah, nobody came at all. This is 2005, so we didn't even have a record release there. We were just like taking initiative to book our own tour, and we had some other good shows along the way, but for some reason that was just like a total, whether it was wrongly promoted or whatever, I don't know. I think there was 2 people that came, and they ended up pulling the show, the people at the venue. So but at the time, it was just, it's just all about camaraderie, and you're going to Europe like that, because like when I was in high school, that was like the dream for me, like getting to travel with music. I mean, it still is really, but it was like, it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a failure. Mm-hmm. We were still there, and I mean that was definitely a failure. Yeah, we got like our gear ripped off, and like we were on tour with Wolf Parade in 2008 or something like that, 2009, and we were down south. We played Austin one night. I think it was the first night of the tour, first or second, and we play Austin. We're super happy with, and we didn't, our sound, Chris Bell, our sound person at the time, he took like his motorcycle license test the few days before, and it was like raining, so he like fell and broke his collarbone.
Ew.
So he wasn't able to go on the tour. So we were kind of used to having somebody at that time. So the Austin show goes really well, and we get along. We kind of hit it off with the front of house guy there, and we're like, "Do you want to come on the rest of the tour with us?" And so he hops in the van the next day, and we go to Baton Rouge to play the Spanish Moon, and we play the set, and then so the next day we're booked at the first Pemberton Festival outside of Vancouver.
Yep.
That's the first year for it, so it's like Jay-Z, Tom Petty, Nine Inch Nails.
I remember that one.
Yeah, it was a big boy.
Yeah.
And so we were like, somehow it worked out that we were able to fly from Baton Rouge to Vancouver, and then back, leave immediately after the set, go back and carry on the Wolf Parade tour in Atlanta the next day. So we're at the Spanish Moon, we play the set, we're packing up, we kind of get delayed, and we're kind of staying out near the airport or whatever, and we get back and just go in for showers because we got to go right to the airport. So in that 30-minute window, I'm the first one to return to the van, and like the back doors are open, and I'm like, well, did somebody get out here before? And then I look in the back, and like all of our gear's cleaned out. We've been completely ripped off in the course of 20 to 30 minutes. Like somebody must have followed us back from the club or something like that. So then I lost like a nice like 60s P bass, definitely some sentimental stuff. But we're just like, oh, we got to go to the airport. So we go to the airport, fly to Vancouver, get in. We're all kind of a bit rattled by getting robbed, and just kind of just feeling a bit fragile. And we get to Vancouver, and then we're like, that was like a nightmare. I don't know if you guys remember that. Like there was like 3-4 hour delays getting, because it bottlenecked at Whistler, so nobody was able to get in on site. So we ended up having to hire a helicopter to get like at Whistler when it started to bottleneck to make our set. So we landed behind the stage, scrambled. I think Sammy and the boys there lent us gear. Like I even had to borrow drumsticks, and we played the show and then headed right back to Atlanta, and Wolf Parade let us use their gear from then on. But that was rough times because doing a support tour in America at that time, and it was pretty early days. It was like it took us a while to get the gear back and stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That was a bad one.
Yeah.
Yes, it was a bad one.
In the radio land, I mean, is your David Bowie story your biggest failure?
One of them. I had an opportunity to spend 30 minutes face to face with David Bowie during the Tin Machine era. I was so flabbergasted by being face to face with the Thin White Duke that I forgot to unpause my tape deck.
No way.
I had him to myself for half an hour, his undivided attention, and I have no proof of that. Now, I did meet him once afterwards, and I told him the story, and he clapped me on the shoulder and looked me in the eye and said, "Well, that was stupid of you, wasn't it?"
That's awesome.
But it was for like a radio.
It was for radio. Yeah, this would be about 1990. Yeah. I got a chance to go down to the concert hall in Toronto, and again, all to myself, looking me right in the eye, making me feel like I was the only person in the world that mattered, and I have no documentation.
Wow. Well, we'll end this on a good drummer's note. Well, not a great drummer's note, but obviously, I know, Alan, you're a fan of Rush. Lowell, I don't know if you're a huge Rush fan, but obviously losing Neil is basically like pulling the carpet out from underneath the drummer's world. Did you guys ever get to meet Neil at all?
Not me. I've done a lot of work with Rush and their management company. I never met Neil face to face. I even sat behind his 2112 kit on the R40 tour in Las Vegas. I had a tour of his kit by his drum tech, but meeting him face to face, nope.
Oh, well, I mean, you've met Getty before, and Lowell, Getty was on your recorded on the last Winter Sleep record, didn't he?
2 records ago. 2017 record, 16. Yeah. So on the R40 tour, I got to go see them in Montreal me and Paul went, and but yeah, I mean, Neil doesn't hang out, like after the shows and that. We went back and talked with Geddy and Alex, but Neil, I think, is known to kind of keep to himself on that.
Yeah,
he's
right from the very beginning. Oh, by the way, hang on.
Here we go. This is what we should make you guys pull cool things off the wall that you have behind you.
There's a new book about Rush by Martin Popoff called Anthem.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
And this is Rush in the 1970s. So
amazing.
I just got this in the mail the other day, and I haven't had. Oh boy, it smells.
Smells like a new book.
So I'm gonna have to go through this over the next couple of days.
Is it like road stuff? Like
it's extensive first-hand knowledge of what Rush was doing in the 1970s. So the early years to, I guess, Permanent Waves.
Yeah. So yeah, they were just working all the time, whether on the road or in the studio.
Yeah.
Crazy.
There's
cool.
probably no chapter called sex on that, though.
Or We Met Pretty Girls.
Yeah, that's right. Walked right by them.
It goes to the end of Hemispheres.
Oh, okay.
Wow. Cool. That'll be great to check out.
Hey guys, thanks very much for doing this. Appreciate it. I hope
Welcome.
you guys stay safe and stay warm and stay active and all that kind of stuff.
You bet.
We'll talk soon, everybody.
All right, we'll see you later.
You made it. You made it all the way through. Congratulations. That's like those old choose your own adventure novels. At the end, they're always like, congratulations, you're here. You made it. You did it. Well, I died 7 or 8 times on the way, but I made it here. Hopefully you didn't die on the way. Nobody needs that. But whether it took you 3 or 4 chances or tries to get through it, thank you very much for watching. We'll be better next week. We'll definitely be better next week when our guests are James Sobalski, the voice of NHL 2020 and a good buddy, and Carolyn Cameron, Hockey Central Tonight host. And she is a lot of fun, and we're going to probably get her to play some ukulele for us. I'm going to try to get her to play some ukulele. Anyway, click the link below, guys. We obviously can't have a live band play, but Alert the Medic is the band that did the intro for this show, if we can call it that. A couple of years ago, they did a great cover of the Tragically Hip song Grace 2. So have a listen, click the link, enjoy your evening, stay safe, and stay awesome.